Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome in to the XBL Season 10 weekly roundup here at the beginning of Week 4. My name is Weaver for Prez, and as always, I am joined by one of the co-commissioners of the league, Dwayne. How you doing tonight, Dwayne?
Feeling fantastic, Weaver. Thanks for having me here in the booth with you again for this weekly roundup. And yeah, we had a lot of great action in week 3. I'm ready to get over and summarize. And this season X is only starting to ramp up and starting to take really good shape.
We hope you all had an excellent holiday weekend here in the last few days. And now, as we start week 4, of course, we're going to look back at week 3, and that always starts with power rankings. And usually we start with the AA, but because their regular season is over, we're going to start with the AAA. Falling from grace a bit here into the 19th spot, the Plum Island Piranhas and Rise and Fall.
Yeah, Rise just having a rough time putting together a few wins this season, though he does have a big win over Phillies Rock, who we're going to see, much higher on this list as things go along. So not short of big wins, but short of wins in total for Plum Island so far this season. Let's see if he gets further up this table later on.
And then moving on up into those next 3 spots, of course, we have Goldfinger and the Aeronauts. Finally, a couple spots of improvement for Joe Beje. We all knew he had it in him. He moves to 17, and holding pat is Tam Dannins.
Yeah, nicely done there by Joe to pick up a couple of splits this week to move up the table. He doubled his win total from last season, where he only gathered 2 wins in the AAA. So now sitting at 4 wins and well earned, I think, in that power ranking promotion to 17. And like you said, you got Tam Dannins at 16 and Goldfinger at 18, standing pat where they are. Just need to see a little bit more from them on the win front, I think, to start jumping up this board. But a couple of splits in their favor this week as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned with Rise and Fall, there was a win versus Phillies Rock. The same is true, as you can see bottom left there, for Tam Dannins. Yeah. So always impressive there on the upset front, and that'll take us into the next 3 spots, which is a player holding pat at 15 in Blue Panther. A bit of a down week there for Eduardo. He moves to number 14, and then Tezzy moving up 1 spot.
Yeah, a bit tough on the offensive front for Blue Panther and the Foxes so far this season, but he has managed to get those 5 wins in 14 games. Just a quiet week from him overall. You see Eduardo there slipping a little bit. He's lost a couple of games, getting swept by Ox, swept as well by BBLC, just not putting up the runs and not quite finding that sirloin's pitching that he's used to and finding those close games. Tezzy doing a good job this season of winning where he can, but he's, I think, garnered quite a few splits as well. You can see that run scored per 9 doing pretty well, but his runs allowed is outweighing that, so it's causing a few of those games to go a bit lopsided.
And that'll take us on into the next set here, which is Rick's and the Hippies, the Letanimal and the Rhinos, and McDonough and the Delivery Boys falling 4 spots there. Still a strong player, though, even at that 10 spot.
Yeah, tough to say you're falling some spots when your run scored per 9 is at over 6 and your batting average is over 345, but that runs allowed and his batting average against, he's really having a rough time there on the mound, keeping runs off the board. So he's sitting there at 7 and 9. He has played a pretty tough schedule. You see last week going after BBLC and Judas Goat, who are 2 of the heavier offenses in this AAA right now. He did get 2 wins against M. Benning, so not too bad going 2 and 4 with that setup. You see Ricks and Letanimal there at 11 and 12. But these players just kind of climbing 1 spot each, finding their way up the board, I think a bit due to that drop by Eduardo. But these rookies, I think, are starting to really make their name in the AAA and should make some noise in the playoffs.
That takes us into the top 10 past McDonough, where we find the rank 9 player is Phil. Wolfie Lion is there at 8, of course, with the Wolfie Lions. And a big week earns Oxbox a promotion up to rank 7.
Yeah, huge week from Ox. 5 and 1, as you can see there on his results. No results from the 2 teams following him. So not a whole lot to say, just looking to see them get back on the horse and really solidify those rankings. But yeah, you really can't say enough for the improvement of the holograms here in AAA Season 10. Much improved from last season.
Yeah, great story so far there at 11 and 9. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. Oxbox, of course, along with Rise and Fall, who we talked about earlier, will match up this Wednesday night. You can't miss that on the AAA Match of the Week. We'll talk more about that at the end of the show. But as far as the rest of the power rankings go, of course, we have BBLC at rank 6, and Bennings falls once, as does Rainey into the 4 spot.
Yeah, these players all very strong in that AAA, all going to be in the mix for semifinal position, I think, in the playoffs. depending on how things shape up. But right now, I think it's hard to say who's really going to put their head up ahead of this pack as far as these three players really go. We need to see a little bit more out of BBLC. The dog pound from M Bennings has been a really, really good surprise. Offensively, has been really good. Just a little bit closer on that runs a lot. Like I've said on a few other players going up the board, when you're playing a little bit close in those two categories, games are going to go one way or the other. A lot of one-run ball games probably. So it'll be interesting to see as well what happens with Rainey at 13-7, looking good right now. Got a lot of games under his belt. That offense has really woken up, I think, a little bit as of late for the Moons.
And that takes us to the top three, which is a bit different this week. And that would be Wishbone earning a 2-spot promotion, and then 1 and 2 holding pat from last week. Of course, 1 is Phillies Rock, 2 Judas Goat. But the story really, Wishbone with that home run rate.
Yeah, the home run rate from Wishbone is insane this season. He's kicked it up a huge notch in Season 10 from Season 8 and 9. So very well deserved in the promotion here. All three of these offenses, all three of these players are to be feared in this AAA. I think come late season, come playoff time, you're not going to want to face any three of these players in the tournament because they're just going to be pounding the ball. And if their pitching is as sharp as they're hitting, those series are going to be rough.
So those are your AAA rankings. Going into week 4, we'll see how it shakes up a week from now or so. And that'll take us into the XBL rankings, where we have 18 teams to rank out for you. And the bottom 3, a couple non-changes at the bottom with J Boop still looking for that first win, and of course Finite there at 17, and a bit of a rough week. That Canada Day celebration not going B Hagen's way. He falls to 16.
Yeah, Canada Day 0-4 for Nanaimo in the Megafauna. That's definitely a tough drop of games for him, but we saw him bounce back in the second half of last season. Now he's got 18 games under his belt in Season 10 and about 16 more to play, so we'll see what happens with B Hagen going forward. I would expect him to probably find a way to remedy that. Quiet week from Finite, just losing to Light Snack and Beaky Bay, so that's nothing to really sweat too much about when you're hanging out near the bottom of the table. You're going up against one of the best teams in the league, so going away 0-2. I would say Finite's going to have more success going forward as well. And like you said, Boop's still searching for that first win. Let's see if we see it this week.
And that brings us up to rank number 15, 14, and 13, which is No Name holding pat. Quiet week for Corruptions. He falls 5 spots, and then a 3-spot promotion for the Melonheads, who look a bit reborn, if you will.
Yeah, 6-0 week for the Melonheads. Very good week. Just now at 9-9, coming up from the bottom of the table. I think rank 13 even could possibly go even higher, depending on how the rest of his results go. We'll see if this is just a hot streak or if he's really for real. His power numbers are looking really good.
Yeah.
As far as things go this season. So great job by Webb so far. We're looking to see more out of the Prowlers, just that sweep by the Catella Crazies and yourself, Weaver, under his belt this week. And No Name sharing a bit of the spoils on Canada Day, but overall 2-4 this week. I think the No Names have done themselves well so far in this early XBL season, and he'll pick up a few wins maybe going forward to try and push for one of those playoff spots.
It is going to be a tight race indeed. That's something we were talking about before we went live here, and we'll go on into the top 12. And remember, there are only 12 playoff spots available. So if the season, sorry, these aren't standings, but rather power rankings. So maybe a general prediction. But Kekayula in that 12 spot after a solid week, a 4-2 week. You yourself, Dwayne, you hold pat there. And Flash at rank 10. And if I'm not mistaken, he begins the season in mere hours.
Yeah, mere hours apparently against Kekayula, who's down there at the 12 ranking. So number 10 and number 12 should be, as of scheduled right now, facing off later on tonight. We're all looking forward to seeing the return of Flash into the XBL. Hasn't played since Season 7 with us, so that should be a great, re-debut of sorts.
Yeah.
Either way, though, definitely a tight group here, with myself included. I think these are all going to be hotly contested positions as far as the playoffs go. In the power rankings right now, I think these are all very appropriate.
And that brings us into the top 10, starting with 9, 8, and 7. It's a 1-spot demotion for No Hummus, who just had the one rough series versus the team that has moved up 4 spots. Great story here. That is Doso at 500, a little more than halfway through the season. And then myself holding pat after a busy week at 7.
Yeah, busy week for you indeed. One of the other teams to play 4 series, including myself. So well done, Weaver, getting it done this week. Hanging out at 9-9 right there at number 7 so far. starting to wake up the bats, I think, a little bit for Catella and looking good in this this middle season. Doso is really surprised, I think, on the offensive front to go with that really good pitching. So if he can keep it up going forwards, I think he's a shoo-in for the playoffs, and that offense is going to be something to be feared, along with that high-level Von Ace in contention pitching that we've seen from him in the past. And yeah, like you said, bit of a rough week from Hummus, quiet week, just the sweep by the Firebirds, where Doso was able to get, I believe, a mercy on him. So Hummus needing to shrink a few of those that runs allowed per 9 stat, that batting average against, and I think he will be able to find some correction going forward.
That takes us into the top 6. Couple more slides here for you. Jan Paladin holds pat, and then a tie between Luke Archer and the resurgent Ted Danson, who has really turned on the burners at the plate this season. These two tied at rank 4. They matched up in the playoffs last season, and it was a great series.
Yeah, it was. It was a 5v12 matchup that went 5 games, and now here they are tied for rank number 4 in Season 10. We'll see if it holds up for the Dragoons. The offense has been really, really impressive. The runs allowed per 9. The pitching has been a little bit less Ted Danson-esque. He's had to play a lot of close games, even though they've been high scoring, but I think if that corrects itself a little bit, he's going to win more and more as we go down the stretch here and really push for that top 4 position. Jan Paladin, a bit of a quiet week with just the 2 series, but a couple of really good splits. B. Hagen just nipping him with that 1-0 victory, and then a good split against Team Liquid. GTM is going to be one of those tough players going forward. And a good week for Luke. Overall, 3-3. I think he's looking good so far in this middle season. He's right there at 6 runs scored per 9, and his pitching so far has held up pretty good and got him over 500. So going forward, I think he's going to find himself a streak and maybe a good stretch.
Yeah, solid 4, 5, and 6 there, but that brings us to a top 3 that is a bit shaken from what we're normally accustomed to seeing, and that is Beaky Bay actually in a tie there with Team Liquid and GTM, and then of course Astronaut at number 1. But just all 3 of these guys, you would have to think are the World Series favorites at this moment.
Yeah, at this moment for sure. GTM has definitely got the largest sample size to work from, so definitely feeling favorable, I think, in the voting. To be pushed up here to tie for number 2. So batting over 400, as you can see, along with Ashnod, Beaky Bay, and Light Snack just underneath at 398. All 3 of these offenses are going to be extremely dangerous going forward. I think once we see more games out of the Birdies and Ashnod, respectively, that'll start to take shape a little bit more.
Yeah, an excellent top 3 here in the XBL after 3 weeks of play going into week 4. And we'll see how it shakes up next time. But now we move on into the top plays of the week. I'm sorry, no, I'm jumping the gun here. We have the AA bracket, the playoff bracket to unveil.
How could you forget?
I'm sorry. Here, let's check it out.
Here we
go.
What
do we got here? All right. So this is a round robin pool. So that going to be multiple games played here in this first round to determine where kind of where you land in those semifinals. So multiple games played. As you can see, Razorbacks, Hikers, Black Roses, and SWAT will be the left half of that bracket, and then the Porgs, the Jackrabbits, Mist Inc., and the Blurs will be on the right half of the bracket. Only the top 2 from either side of the bracket will move on.
Yeah, very interesting setup we have here. Different sort of playoffs for the AA with these 8 players. Everyone's going to get their shot here. It's going to be really interesting. Every team is going to play each other twice, another home and away, just like they did during the season, and that will determine who will have the higher seeding going forward. The tiebreakers will be the same, so head-to-head comes first, and then run differential per 9 will come second if you're tied in your pools. And then the Pool 1 winner and the Pool 2 runner-up, and then the Pool 2 winner and the Pool 1 runner-up will be facing off in the AA semifinals, best of 5, and then the championship will be best of 7. So yeah, this form is going to be really exciting. Like I said, everybody's going to get their shot, and I think, Razorbacks just getting ahead with that number 1 seed has been an interesting storyline. We thought it was all going to be Cougar this season in the AA, but Ben Mack's offense really pushed him ahead there, finishing with the same record and getting that run differential difference tiebreaker on Cougar. So the AA shape is really interesting, and I think this will be very exciting.
And that is going to get started very soon, so we'll keep an eye on this exciting pool play bracket as they move along in their playoffs. And now I do believe it is time to go to the top plays of the week. And at number 5, we start off with Just No Name in a play, I believe, just this morning. versus the great Smash Nod. It's actually a couple plays in one, but really it's this second pitch here that we thought was worthy of the number 5 spot.
Yeah, running all the way deep in left center field and Shaka to get that done. That's a tough play to get to. You got to have a lot of speed committed to your outfielders to be able to even make it. You can see we're getting a little bit of an error there. Hopefully we get the full catch in there for you one more time as Ashnod takes that one deep. Sorry about the playback issues. Try one more time.
Yeah, see if we can get one more good look at it. The shortstop jump is nice. You know, it's reasonably well timed. But really, it's this dive on the gap that is also well timed, perfectly timed.
Yeah, that went about 375 feet out to left center, so you got to use all your speed and all your timing to get it done.
So that is our number 5 play of the week, and that takes us to what we believe is the number 4 play of the week submitted into that list. Full count pitch, Keck opting to go to the power swing in a 0-0 game, bottom of the ninth, earns him a sweep over the Firebirds.
Yeah, that's huge. In a 0-0 game, Keck getting that full count pitch and just giving it a ride, putting a good swing on it. That's a great way to close a game out. Can't feel much better than that. The solo shot to finish off a tight one.
And that takes us to the number 3 play of the game, which isn't something we see a lot on the top plays. This is Oxbox scoring what ended up being the game-winning run late in what ended up being a sweep versus Eduardo with a flawless steal of home.
Yeah, perfectly timed. You really can't get much better than that. If you're one of those people that's into the game of stealing home, you love to see this. It's just pure timing and just all clean, all speed. Nothing Ed could do.
Yeah, seriously not a thing that Eduardo can do about it. That's just perfect. And before we unveil the top 2 plays of the week, of course, we need to see the not top plays, the lowlights of the week. And we have 3 for you. And the first one is a twofer, courtesy of Wishbone Rules, fellow league office member. His second baseman does not have a good day in this game versus the Elephant, does he?
Yeah, able to get the out there, as you can see on the second portion of that play, but the ball phasing right through him. Looks like he's right there for the catch. I don't know why he refuses to go for that one. And then here he gets an easy flip and drops it. Just lucky to make a play at all.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, reasonably fortunate there that he even was picked it up in time to get that put out at second, but still just not a good day for that second baseman at all, or for Wishbone for that matter. But that takes us to the next play, which came from that first game in the Doso Keck series we mentioned. We've all seen that sliding catch come up fruitless, but the second drop, in my opinion, 100% allows the go-ahead run to score in the ninth. The second drop.
Yeah, that is a tough break for Doso there in a close game that ends up going, I believe, or ends up, like you said, going in Keck's favor, and just the Butterfingers, as the clip was titled there in center field. That's a heartbreaker. I agree. He's not scoring if there's not a second chance there by Doso with the drop in center field. There's no control you have over that. It's terrible.
Right, yeah, so a brutal outcome out there for Remy Slow, I believe. And our final not top play, I was the beneficiary. This comes from a game with myself and Corruptions. He thinks he has the walk-off hit, and maybe it would have been, but instead it's deflected by the closer here in the 14th, and the out is recorded. And I'll have you all know that closer had to stay in the game and ended up pitching another 3 or 4 innings.
Yeah, so well done by Quentin Success, really using his head to get that play. Finish there for the Crazies. Like you said, he still got it done, still stayed in the game. So that's a real team player move, if you ask me.
Yeah, it never feels good when you rip the ball back up the middle in what would typically be an out, but instead it is or what would typically be a hit. Instead, it's an out. Never feels good. So we feel for him there. But that is going to take us into the top 2 plays of the week, back to the good plays here. And this one is from Luke Archer, the Milwaukee Mallards, and his center fielder making a dive in the gap that definitely saves 2 runs and prevents my hitter there from reaching second or third.
Yeah, good speed on your runner there. That could have been very, very dangerous. Would have made that game a lot closer. I think it finishes with that score line. As you can see, we go right to the top of the 9th after that play. So Luke getting into the top plays this week with a nice one. If you miss that in Shaka's gap, it's trouble.
So an excellent play there from Luke Archer. But we believe the top play of the week is a player we just saw, and that is Oxbox. Once again, in a game versus the Rhinos, makes a diving catch, and then somehow with the negative 71 throw does not trigger an error. Instead, it's a double play. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's an amazing play, and for some reason, it's going to go slow-mo. Let me try and reset it for you. Been having some playback issues tonight with OBS. Let's watch it one more time, though. Ox, you have to time this perfectly. Again, if you miss this in Shaka, it's going to go for more than extra bases, and really unfortunate from the Latanimal there to have gone early with the runner, and Ox 40 arm able to get it done.
Yeah, it looks like it's going slow-mo again, but that's okay. Wonderful play there out in left field from Oxbox, and I believe that's back-to-back weeks where he has had the top play of the week, so congrats to him. Perhaps this season's Tam Danitz, but plenty of time for that to shape up. And that is going to do it for us tonight on the Weekly Roundup. Thank you all so much for joining, and remember, we have more official broadcasted action for you guys Wednesday night. That is the match of the week that we could not have on the 4th of July on Sunday yesterday. It will be on Wednesday night, starting at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern, with Oxbox, who you can see here in wonderful slow motion, facing off versus Rise and Fall. A good matchup there. And then, of course, the XBL match of the week at 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern, between Luke Archer and GTM, 2 of the top 5 players in the league. So you do not want to miss that. Anything else, Dwayne?
No, Weaver, thank you very much for summing all that up. Just like you said, join us for those games on Wednesday. Should be very exciting. AA players, you're going to be using the same lobby. I wanted to mention that earlier. If any of you guys are here with us, you're using the same lobby for your playoff games, for the round robin games, and then we'll reassess from there. So get excited, get hyped. We got AA playoffs coming at you. Everybody else, get those minimums in. We haven't heard from you about why you may be behind or why you may need to get ahead. Feel free to let us know. And yeah, it's just been another good season, another good week. So let's just keep ramping up the action, letting this baby take shape. Hope you all have a great night, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys.